I'm John. Let's walk through building a custom Slack agent using Inferable. We'll start by authenticating Slack with our Inferable cluster. This is going to allow us to start runs from within the Slack workspace. Before we can do anything useful with our agent, though, we're going to need to attach some services. Let's go ahead and create a new API key in the dashboard and start a service on my local machine. Let's start with a really simple function. Who am I? This is just going to return the current authentication context of the run. We'll start the service, and when we go back to the dashboard, we'll be able to see that the new function is registered and available for the agent to use. Now we can jump into Slack and start a conversation. Let's ask the agent who we are. This will test our function. We can see that the agent has returned details about us. We can go back to the dashboard and inspect the function calls that were made. Inferable services are a collection of functions that augment your agent with the ability to take actions or retrieve information. Functions are registered with one of the Inferable developer SDKs, and they run within your application and infrastructure. The agent has the ability to call these functions, and when it does, Inferable handles delivering the message to the SDK using long polling, so no ingress is required to your service. Let's go back and add some more useful functionality to our agent. I have a local database running. Let's add two new functions to interact with the database. One to get the schema, and one to execute an arbitrary SQL query. If we go back to the dashboard, we'll be able to see that our two new functions are registered and ready for use. Let's try them out in Slack. Let's ask for some details about the most recent order and the products that it contains. The agent has used the new functions to fetch the database schema and construct a query to resolve our request. In the dashboard, we can see the functions that were called, including the query that was constructed. This function is actually pretty dangerous, and we may want to restrict the agent's ability to use it. We can enforce this by pausing the workflow and requiring an approval step before executing. Let's update the function to check for an approval before issuing the query. If the approval has not been provided, we can return an approval interrupt, which will pause the run until the function is approved or denied. This approval step could also be applied conditionally, for example, based on the agent's query input or the auth context of the user, for example, the user's email address. Let's run another query asking the agent to delete the last order. This will trigger another run. However, this time it will pause, waiting for our approval before continuing.